All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bush Auto Group X Lounge. I am Raz on the radio. Say hi to my friend George Birge. So we got some Jersey girls up here in the front. I'm glad you're up in the front, ladies. Good to see you. Thank you for coming and joining us here this afternoon.
Matching T-shirts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I want to see it.
Where do you usually dance? I mean, we talked about this before, but where do you usually dance? Wednesday night at Racks in Atco. Good. All right. What time does that start? 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights? All right. Huh? All right. I'll boogie. I'll boogie. All right. So let's start with George here. So George and I go back a few years when he was with a duo called Waterloo Revival, and we had some fun over the last few years. I remember a great gig that we did in Atlantic City.
Yep.
That was a good time.
Down there on the water.
Yeah. So you've been around for a while. So take us through your journey. So you start in Austin, Texas, right? Which is the coolest music place in the country next to Nashville.
Very lucky place to grow up.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of in my bones as a kid, you know, fell in love with country music. It was what I always wanted to do, but I also hadn't really seen anybody make it out of Austin and go do the big national thing. And so I went to college and, you know, faked my way through that and got a desk job and, you know, convinced somebody to pay me money. And then I would go play honky-tonks and bars on the weekends.
So wait, so where was your desk job? What kind of job did you do?
My job was at a real estate company, and basically my job was to take people out to play golf and to eat dinner with us and make them like us enough to do business with us. So it's a pretty good job. Yeah.
Aren't you doing that now?
That's basically it. I just get to howl at the moon a little bit more, you know.
And so you're sitting there and you're like, this isn't for me, right?
Well, the only thing that could have gotten me to quit that job was getting to do this. To play music professionally. And so, you know, I'd work all day, and then at night we'd go rehearse as a band and write songs. And we started getting a little bit of traction in Austin. We played this little hole-in-the-wall bar that was about a 500-person room called the Rattle Inn. And then it just turned into this thing that every Friday night we'd be sold out at the Rattle Inn, which started getting some buzz.
500?
500 cap,
That's
yeah,
not
something
bad.
like that. So it wasn't, you know, blowing the world up, but it was starting to make a little bit of noise. And then I'll never forget, it was back in the day where you burned CDs, and I'd burned a demo of the one song that I had enough money to record in the studio. I had one song. And I played golf with a guy that owned a bunch of radio stations, and I was just like, you know, like any kid is. I was like, hey, man. I was like, I got this band. I got this burned CD. Can I give it to you?
That's pretty good.
Nobody's ever said that to you, right? Yeah. I'm
Oh,
sure
no,
you've only gotten 900
I just
CDs.
got one in the mail today, yeah.
And he called me back the next day, and he said, man, I've never called anyone back that's given me a burned CD before, but I think there's something here. And I think if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to send it to some folks up in Nashville. And so that's what he did. 2 weeks later, I was getting calls from industry folks in Nashville. A month later, I had a record deal. I was quitting my job. I moved to Nashville probably 8 years ago now. And, you know, toured the country with some pretty awesome artists in my band, Waterloo Revival. And then about 3 years ago, I just, for whatever reason, wasn't in a spot where I was feeling creatively fulfilled or loving the music that I was making. So I ended up asking out of my record deal. And I thought I was just going to be a songwriter. So I started writing songs for a lot of artists in town. Clay Walker recorded a couple, Colt Ford recorded a couple, had a bunch of big looks, and I sent this song to Jason Aldean, and got an email back the next day saying, don't play it for anybody else, Jason wants to put it on your record, which at the time was, you know, the coolest thing, the biggest artist to believe in me.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was going to be my path. Well, fast forward about 6 months, I had some stuff blow up that I'd put on social media, and had the opportunity to sign a solo record deal, and then actually asked for my song back from Jason Aldean, which is probably the craziest thing I've ever done, the biggest bet I've ever made. But just a few months back, with my own name on it, it was the most added song in America at country radio, and you can now hear it on XTU thanks to Raz. So life has been going pretty good, man.
So through many of our careers, I'm sure you talk to anybody in this room, there are ups and downs, right?
Yes.
So, and there are times when you're like, can I really do this?
Yes.
So walk us through where you grabbed your confidence from to actually stay in it, because there are times when you're thinking like, do I need to go in another path? What was it that kept you going?
Yeah, so I mean, as I'm sure this is not a secret to any of you guys, us musicians are not a very emotionally stable bunch. So we have highs and lows, and definitely, there's days where you feel like there's a no-brainer that this is going to be the biggest thing in the world, and there's no doubt that this is going to work. And then there's days that you wake up and you think, what in the hell have I been doing for the last 10 years, And it's trying to manage that and keep yourself motivated and not look at the chances of things working out, but just do it because you love it. And I think especially in the last few years, I've been put in a position where I'm able to make the music that I want to make, and I'm able to write all my own songs and pick my producers, and I have a label that's really believing in me and the vision that I have, and it makes it a lot easier for me to blindly just go out there and do it and chase it, and on that same wavelength, it's taken off in a bigger way than it ever has these last few years. But really the biggest thing has been like my family life at home. I got an incredible wife who's been with me before I ever had a record deal, before any of this took off. I got 2 little kiddos at home, and these last few years have just given me the confidence to realize that there's more to life, and I've got an incredible foundation at home, and I'm confident in who I am, and music is amazing, but I don't have to compromise or chase anything. I've got this foundation, and I know who I am, and I can just go be me, and hopefully everybody else likes it.
In between your deals, I remember watching some of your social media, and you got the kids involved in fishing or doing something, and I think you were investigating the truck that you just got, and you had the kids in there. So how important was that to actually reconnect on that level?
Massively.
Yeah.
And, the world shutting down for 2 years at the time felt like a nightmare. And then coming out on the other side of it, I realized it was, for me personally, actually like a really great reset. I got to be home with kids for 2 years and find myself and dig in and have that connection with my family, and have this foundation that now that I am on the road for 20 days out of the month, I know it's really solid at home, and I know who I am, and I know I can go chase that. So it's been that's been really special for me too.
Do the kids know what you do? Do they understand?
Yeah. So
talk about that a little bit.
I got to play I got to do my Grand Ole Opry debut in November, and so they got to come with me for that, and that was the first time they'd come to a big show. And so they came backstage, and the Opry gave them these golden harmonicas that they were blowing on all
awesome.
Backstage, and they got to go side stage while I was playing. And when the lights came on and they saw the crowd, for me, the best reaction was getting to see their faces, being like, "Oh wow, Dad's actually pretty cool." This is awesome what he gets to do. And now they hear me on the radio, and they get super excited about that. We've had to work on it a little bit because my son in kindergarten is going around telling everybody in school my dad's famous. I'm like, listen, buddy, we got to kind of tone that down a little bit. We got to humble it up just a little bit. But it has been a lot of fun for them to kind of get to see what I do.
Now, do they fool around with the instruments? Do you give them any lessons or anything?
Yeah, so they're taking piano lessons,
Nice.
which is a lot of fun. And then, we'll write. So, my favorite thing in the world to do is I've got a little fire pit in the backyard, and I love to pour a glass of whiskey, bring the guitar out there, light a fire, and they'll come sit in my lap, and we'll kind of write songs together about, whatever, just life in general.
That's good.
Yeah. So
is there a
that's really
no-touch
fun
on the
for me.
Hummingbird?
No, as you can see, they've gotten their hands all over it. It's, you know what, it's meant to be played and beat up, and I think it gives it a little more character anyways.
Does it sound better the more beat
I
up it is?
think so, yeah, absolutely.
that.
That's my opinion anyways.
So let's talk really quickly. So you've had 3 labels in your career, right?
Yes.
So for people that don't know, the business side of it can get hairy. So let's talk about how that little journey and how you got to where you are right now. So is that...
Yeah, so I came to town thinking, I've got a record deal, I've done it. I'm going to be rich, and my life has changed, and I'm going to go buy a mansion in Nashville on a country club, and we've made it. We've signed a record deal. And, already, I have friends calling me, "Hey man, can I borrow some money? I saw you got a record deal now." But
they're always out there in the weeds. Yeah, I hear you.
What you don't realize is that's kind of just the start of things. You've got somebody willing to invest money and try to get you on the radio and get you the press and the team. And I remember being really overwhelmed when I first came to town. I signed with a label called Big Machine, which they were amazing to me. It was same people as Taylor Swift and Thomas Rhett and Florida Georgia Line. And I get there, and the first thing they do is it's this big marble office table with 50 employees around it, and there's a chair with a bottle of water on top of it, and the head of the label looks and he says, "Go ahead." I'm like, "Go ahead and what?" He's like, "Go ahead and play some songs. Show us what you got." And I remember sitting there with my hand like this,
I'm
you
sure.
know, wanting to
Wow.
play for them, feeling like the rest of my life was on the line. But that's what I did, and it went great. And that's when we inked my first deal, and we did 2 years over there, and that kind of gave Waterloo Revival, my old band, their footprint in Nashville. It was the first time I got to meet you and meet a lot of. We do something called a radio tour, which is like basically equivalent of a political campaign. You know, we go meet every radio station in Nashville and America and try to show them that you're a new artist worth supporting, but you're not making any money on the radio tour. You know,
Yeah.
that's you're out there doing that, and that's the thing that you don't realize is that for every artist that gets signed to a record label, you know, 1 in 30 has a hit on the radio.
Might be a
Maybe-
little better. odds
Maybe
than
better,
that.
yeah, but
a
it's
little bit.
you know, it cycles through a lot, and so then you start to realize, oh man, this is tough. Like this is, you got to catch a break, and the stars have to align, and you've got to have some heat and a team that believes in you, and so that's when you start kind of getting bogged down, like thinking, oh, I've made it, to oh, this is a grind. This is not an automatic. Really, this was just the first step. And so that was like a bit of a soul-searching journey for me. And then a bit, you know, once people are investing, you know, $1 million in you or whatever they're going to invest in you, they have an opinion of what they want you to look like and sound like and what they want everything to be. And so that was a bit of a journey for me, just to kind of figure out who I am, what I want to say, and what I'm willing to do for the label. And so I was there for 2 years, and it was a great start for me. And then I ended up signing with Toby Keith, which was really cool. Huge country artist, a guy that I really looked up to, you know, tons and tons of hits, and a pretty iconic guy. And I got to go on tour with him for 2 years and learn a ton about how to put on a live show and see pyro for the first time.
Awesome.
And, you know, meet Navy SEALs and just play amphitheaters in front of 30,000 people. And it's interesting because, you know, I grew up playing 500-person clubs, and you can entertain somebody in a 500-person club. But when you're on a stage as big as a football field and there's the 30,000 person in the back, it's like, how do you put on a show to entertain those people? And that was a huge learning curve for me, and a huge blessing to get to go do that. And so those were all the kind of like little steps that you take as an artist to kind of figure out, like, okay, how do you connect with fans? How do you connect with radio? How do you make music that you believe in, that you can sleep on the pillow every night and play? And that's why, you know, they call Nashville a 10-year town, because it really does take an artist 10 years to figure all that stuff out. And I'm on year 9. I'm trying to graduate early, but it's going pretty good.
So then the money runs out.
Yeah, it's one of
That's
those
when it gets
things.
hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's every artist has a price tag on their head, and you know, when they want to invest in it and when they don't. And then for me, you know, I told you I ended up asking out of my record deal. It's also like about being like creatively fulfilled, because it's draining. You're out on the road for 250 nights a year, and you got to go play the same song 250 nights a year. And it's like, are you making something that you can go out with a smile on your face and enjoy playing every night? And at the time I wasn't, and that was when I had basically decided that I was going to give it up. And that was when I asked out of my deal. And it wasn't till the last 2 years that I was like, I'm going to tell my stories in the way that I want to tell them, have it sound the way that I want, and, you know, hopefully somebody will sign up and want to be a part of that.
So I imagine that's a scary thought, and you had your family behind you.
Yeah.
And you live in Austin?
I'm in Nashville now. Yeah, I've moved to Nashville now.
So where was it that you actually found your second wind now to go and keep going? Was it the people in Nashville? Was it your family? Was it going back to Austin and maybe having a little bit of a crowd?
I would say Clay Walker was probably the first person to be like, when we were writing for the record for him, he was the first person to be like, hey man, like, you can't give up on this. He was like, there's something here. Like, you need to believe in yourself and you need to chase this. He was like, these songs are too good. And he was like, you've had a rough go of it, but like, there's something here and you need to not give up on it. And so that was like, okay, if this guy who's a superstar is telling me this, like, maybe I should believe in it a little bit more. And then I created a social media account, like, just for myself instead of for the band. And I started posting some things, and all of a sudden it was like, you know, I had videos doing millions of views, and it was like, okay, maybe this is something people actually do want to hear. And, you know, I had that talk with my wife. I was like, hey, are you on board to give this one more swing? And she was like, you have no choice. Like, you're doing this, and I'm not letting you not do it. And so that was
That's
cool.
great.
You know, when you can there's enough pressure and enough stress on this. If it's not good at home, like, it's not going to happen. So to have the family side of it be like, believe in you more than you believe in yourself, it makes it a lot easier to do it.
So tell them the story, and I know this song didn't really have much legs on radio, but I remember the story of when you started your own social media account, and you bumped into the lady that was singing "Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck."
Yeah.
And walk through that story, because I think it's fascinating how you connected with the listener there.
Yeah. So I was on this writing retreat with Clay Walker, like I talked about with you guys, and he's just telling me, that I can't give up and that I need to put some songs on social media and see how it goes. And he was like, you got to get on TikTok, which that's hilarious to think that Clay Walker is the one telling me to get on TikTok, but that's how it went. And so I created this account after we had finished writing for the day before we go to dinner, and I click on the country music hashtag. I have like 6 followers, and the first video I see across the top of it, it says men in country music. And below it is this woman basically just going on a rant about how country music ain't nothing but beer, beer, truck, truck, girls in tight jeans. And I'm in a pretty good groove writing songs. I got a bunch of people in town starting to record my songs. I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could defend country music and show her that I could even write a hit song out of beer, beer, truck, truck. I'm gonna defend country music with this. So I'm sitting on the edge of the bed and I'm like, how do I turn this? So I'm like, it ain't a beer, beer, truck, truck, girls in tight jeans, small town rap. Girl, I hope you're missing me. I know the city called you. Go, baby, spread your wings. I'll be here waiting on you out here in the country. And I just posted something like that on TikTok. And we went to dinner for 3 hours, and I came back, and it had done 3 million views. And everybody's like, yes, you showed her. Like, you got to finish the song. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I'm going to have to put out a song called Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck with my name on it,
And tell them the story. So inspiration comes in a lot of different forms, right? So you end up making her a co-writer. So talk about how that so now you got to reach out to her, right?
Right. So I posted that. It's gone viral. There's thousands of comments being like, "Finish this song," and it's like it blew up in a way that I never thought it could. And so I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna write this song and I'm gonna finish it." And I took a lot of inspiration from your video. Obviously, that was what triggered me to do it. Do you mind if I make you a co-writer? I want you to be part of this if it turns into something. And she hit me back, and turns out she's an elementary school music teacher in Charlotte, North Carolina, which already I was like, yes, she deserves this. This is awesome. But she said she grew up listening to country music and had gotten away from it, but that it gave her a bunch of nostalgia, and she was super excited about it. And so I tried to figure out how to turn it into a story, as a songwriter does. I don't know how much inspiration you can draw from Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck, but I turned it into this like juxtaposition of, that's a big word for a country boy, a juxtaposition of the country and the city, and this like love song about a country boy trying to fall in love with a city girl, and how it might not work, but he's always got a spot for her, which, naturally is where you go from Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck. But I ended up writing a whole song around this and posted it, and it did 20 million streams, something like that, just absolutely nuts. And all of a sudden we were on Rolling Stone and Billboard and NPR and all this just insane stuff, all from like a joke song that I was trying to defend country music with.
I love that story, and what I love about it is you were talking to the 30,000 person in the back of the arena.
Yeah.
Here's a person just having fun on their social media, and you reached out not only to that 30,000 person, but that person that is making a joke about the way the image of country music is, and you reached out to one person. So you could do this in front of 50,000 people. You still have to sing to one.
Yes.
And one, and one, and one. And that's a pretty good connection. And now, do you have a friendship with this person now?
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. We've texted back and forth since it happened, and she told me she was sitting at dinner the other night, and somebody was telling the story of how all this song happened, and that they had seen it in the news, and that this guy had taken this song that was a joke and turned it into a song that was getting national press. And she's like, hey, I was that girl. So that was like cool. She said she started getting her first royalty checks in the mail. So she said she's definitely a country music fan now. So it was pretty cool.
Well, that's a great journey, George. And I always really liked you when you first came up with Waterloo. And you made a connection not only to me, but to the folks in the room. And then, so you're done with Toby now, and then these two young fellas in the back, Bubba and Josh. So how do you kind of cement that relationship?
Well, I was writing songs professionally at the time, not doing the artist thing, but like I was saying, just writing songs for other artists. And that crew kind of reached out, and they're like, hey, just send us, a handful of the things that you've been writing, just so we can hear. Very nonchalant. And so I turned them in, and they immediately called me back, and they're like, hey, how soon can you sign a record deal? So that was cool for me. And they asked all the questions that you want to hear as an artist. When stuff was popping off of Beer Truck, I could have basically signed at any label in Nashville, which was a feeling that I was really grateful for at the time. But they were the only ones to say, hey, not just how do we capture this viral moment, but what do you want to write about on your album? What kind of artist do you want to be? Who do you want to go on tour with? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Who do you want to produce you? Like stuff that if you're trying to build a foundation as an artist that's been bounced around for a minute, like that felt like home, right? And so they really dug in on that stuff and didn't try to change anything, just wanted to support me. And in the 2 years that we've been working together, this thing is probably 10 times bigger than anything I've ever done. So it's pretty
great.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, you guys saw something, Bubba and Josh and the folks that work at your label, and that's a pretty good investment.
Well,
I
hope
it's a good
so.
journey.
Yeah, it's we've got our first official top 40 song right now, which feels pretty damn wild.
Did Waterloo get that high?
Nope.
No. That's look at that.
Yep. So we're in the mid 30s right now, and I think we got a lot of steam behind us too. It's just starting to cook. So we're feeling super excited. We've got some huge touring opportunities coming up. Got to go out on the road with Jake Owen and Brantley Gilbert and Gary Allen, and we've got all these big festivals. We're coming out to Tidal Wave this summer, which is going to be awesome.
Nice.
And life's getting a lot better, man.
Good for you. And you see good things happen to good people sometimes, and that's really fantastic. And keep working hard because you've built yourself a very, very good foundation. And maybe we'll do this again in a few years, and we'll be going over to the Wells Fargo Center. That'd be fantastic.
Your lips to God's ears, man. I'm in.
Right.
Let's do it.
All right. George Birge, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Bush Auto Group X Lounge. Play us a few songs.
Absolutely.
Let's hear what you got. All right.
So in Texas, obviously, it's a lot of cowboys and smoky bars, and the thing about cowboys is, as I'm sure y'all know, they don't have much to say. They're kind of the strong and silent type. They got their hat down, and they're pretty intimidating. But I wanted to write a song about a girl so good looking that even the cowboy had to get up and try to talk to her. Like this front row right here, my Jersey girls. Y'all get the cowboys talking. Over a beer and under a Stetson, they don't say much and they don't ask questions. They just come here to wind it down. They're the type that'll wait for the right one. They don't care how long it takes to find one. There ain't many like them left around. You get them boots on for them bar stools, get them trying to get your name, get you a drink, start asking why. Well, they ain't ever seen you in here before. You make the quiet type not quiet no more. Well, sure as Sunday soon as you walk in, girl, you get them cowboys talking. They ride in without direction, know who they are, no second guessing. But now you got them all thinking twice. All over the music you can hear them whisper, I don't know who she is, but I gotta get her. Whatever you're doing it right. You get them boots on for them bar stools, get them trying to get your name, get you a drink, start asking why. Well, they ain't ever seen you in here before. You make the quiet type not quiet no more. Sure as Sunday soon as you walk in, girl, you get them cowboys talking. over a beer and under a Stetson. They don't say much and they don't ask questions. You get them boots off of them bar stools, get them trying to get your name, get you a drink, start asking why. They ain't ever seen you in here before. You make the quiet time not quiet no more. We sure as Sunday soon as you walk in, girl, you get them cowboys talking. Thank you, guys. So in Nashville, we do these things called writers' retreats, and it's hard work if you can get it. You know, we get the pickup truck, we load it up with about as much whiskey as we can fit in the back. We go rent a house on a beach somewhere, and we stay up all night howling at the moon trying to write a song that might want to put on the radio, you know. And on this particular trip, I was with one of my best buddies, a guy named Matt Stell, who's also a country artist. Got a couple songs y'all might have heard on the radio, and we came up with this theory that whether you care to admit it or not, we've all got two sides. We've got who we are when our filter's running and we're thinking about what we're saying, trying to make our mamas proud of who they raised, and then we have who we are when we take 4 shots of Jack Daniel's whiskey and turn up a rowdy country song. And I tend to think that second guy might let you see behind the curtain just a little bit more and find out who somebody really is. So listen, if any of y'all, not saying that you do, but if any of y'all got a whiskey side like I got a whiskey side, maybe even a frisky side or a risky side, we're going to get along just fine. This is called, I got that side too. It's called Whiskey Side of Me. I tried to be who you thought you found, a little more buttoned up and a little less burn it down. What long till you figured out this cowboy don't fit in that far of town. It's been a minute since I went and tipped it all the way back, but just like that, I'm catching up with the whiskey side of me. Guy that shows up when they pour 'em on strong. A little laid back, a little more wild and free. You ain't the only one that's about to be gone. Gonna sit here by the jukebox and get a little bit tipsy with a Marlboro, this new girl, this bottle that's about it. While you're looking for the guy you wanted me to be, catching up with the whiskey side of me. Y'all make a little noise if you got a whiskey side out there, huh? We're floating on this bar stool high, feel right home with that glowing open neon sign. It's good to hear a country song. I could sit here all night long, catching up with the whiskey side of me. Guy that shows up when they pour 'em on strong. A little laid back, a little more wild and free. You ain't the only one that's about to be gone. Gonna sit here by the jukebox and get a little bit tipsy with a Marlboro, this new girl, this bottle that's about it. While you're looking for the guy you wanted me to be, catching up with the whiskey side of me. It's been a minute since I went and tipped it all the way back, but just like that, I'm catching up with the whiskey side of me. Got the shows up when they pour 'em on strong. A little laid back, little more wild and free. You ain't the only one that's about to be gone. Gonna sit here by the jukebox and get a little bit tipsy with this new girl, this bar stool, this bottle that's about empty. While you're looking for the guy you wanted me to be, catching up with the whiskey side of me. Yeah. Thank you, guys. So, I fell in love with country music because it tells a story, and I feel like more so than any genre, country's got songs that make you feel something, songs that hit you in the chest or make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, songs that are real. And for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, whether it's what you're going through, what you've been through, what you know somebody else that's going through it, you can put yourself inside of that song and turn off the rest of the world. And so when I started working on my debut album, I wanted to write songs that made people feel the same way that I felt when I was listening to the radio as a kid. And so I put this one on there. It means a lot to me. I hope it hits you the same way it hits me. It's called Good Reason to Go. There was nothing I could do, yeah, man, she was leaving. Had her mama on the phone, and her mind, she was already gone. I said I could love you better, I could be whatever you want me to. Said, baby, tell me why, maybe I could help if I knew. And she said, no reason to stay is a good reason to go. No reason to try when one of us won't, ain't just gonna hang around. Get nowhere with you in this little town. Yeah, they say it goes both ways, baby. When you know, no reason to stay's good reason to go. I try to move on, but it's hard when you're looking back. And I try to get through, but it's hard when you're left like that. I could blame it on the drinks, blame it on love over time. Oh, but I can't get away. All I hear saying in my mind is no reason to stay is a good reason to go. No reason to try when one of us won't, ain't just gonna hang around and get nowhere with you in this little town. Yeah, they say it goes both ways, baby. When you know, no reason to stay is a good reason to go. A good reason to go. No reason to stay is a good reason to go. No reason to try when one of us won't, ain't just gonna hang around. Get nowhere with you in this little town. Yeah, they say it goes both ways, baby. When you know, no reason to stay is a good reason to go. A good reason to go. Yeah. No reason to stay is a good reason to go. Thanks, guys. Well, I'll play y'all one more, and thank you guys so much for letting me come spend the lunch hour with you and supporting new country music and helping be a part of the story that's changing my life right now. So thank y'all for letting me come visit over here. I know Philly's a big country town, so I'm glad to be here too. I told y'all a little bit about this story about how I wrote this song, and it was originally on hold for Jason Aldean to put on his record, and I had this dumb song called Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck, changed my life, and got to get this song back and put it out with my own name on it. And it was definitely took some irrational confidence to bet on this thing to work, and but luckily the stars aligned, and it's completely changed my life. So I'm so proud to be up here on this bar stool playing it for you guys, and as my first top 40 song ever. And hopefully, God willing, if it's a number one later on this year, y'all can tell everybody that you heard it here at the XTU Lounge first. So my name is George Birge, and this is my brand new single. It's called Mind on You. Baby, you're a wildfire. Little light me up, little out of control. Yeah, you know. Baby, you're a tall drink. Little top shelf that'll get me going. Hold on. We both know that road that we're going down. Right now, all I can think about, I got my mind on you. Got these four wheels on a two-lane and we cutting through the night. Got your eye in my head and your love on my lips. Hugging on these curves like them jeans on your hips every time you out been looking like you do. Got my hands and my eyes and my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you. We'll slide a little closer, babe. Wanna get your pretty little head on my shoulder and get closer. Well, girl, you know I love the way. Slip your hand under my shirt and it's over. Go slow. Oh no, that road that we're going down. Right now, all I can think about, I got my mind's on you and you on my mind. Got these four wheels on a two-lane and we cut through the night. Got your eye in my head and your love on my lips. Hugging on these curves like them jeans on your hips every time you have been looking like you do. Got my hands and my eyes and my mind on you. I got my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you and you on my mind. Got these four wheels on a two-lane and we cutting through the night. Got your eye in my head and your love on my lips. Hugging on these curves like them jeans on your hips every time you out been looking like you do. Got my hands and my eyes and my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you. I got my mind's on you and you on my mind. I got my mind on you. I got my mind on you. I'm George Birge. Thank y'all so much for letting me hang out with you guys.